Hey yo, everyone! We're a little bit over the halfway point for the year and have already had some great games release. But if you're anything like me, you're always looking forward to what's next. So today, I want to go over 10 games to look forward to in the latter half of the year. Before we begin, this list isn't really a ranking, instead it's just listed in chronological order. But anyway, if you enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, I appreciate it. Alright, let's get it. Alrighty, at number 10, let's kick it off, no pun intended, with EA Sports College Football 25. Can you believe it? An EA Sports game that is legitimately amazing. The game releases officially today, July 19th, but early access started on Monday. From what I've been seeing online and talking to my friends about it, the game lives up to all of the hype, which is incredible considering the expectations were through the roof. I'll admit, I was very reluctant to give any praise to an EA Sports game before I actually played it myself, but this one seems to be resonating with old and new fans alike. So in these college football games, you can play through a variety of modes from Dynasty to Road to Glory to Ultimate Team. There's a lot to look forward to in here. Since EA lost the licensing rights to use the official NCAA name, they've rebranded the game to just College Football, but don't be mistaken, this is the NCAA Football 14 sequel that everyone's been waiting for. From painstakingly recreating college stadiums for each team to individually scanning actual college football players, the team behind College Football 25 went all in with this sports sim. There are in-game traditions, licensed crowd music, gameplay innovations such as the new playoff structure and NIL, and honestly so much more than I could ever cover in this one little snippet. Probably the most amazing part of this all, though, is that EA went to each of the 134 FBS schools represented in the game and got their explicit permission to include them in the title. Since the NCAA wasn't involved, they had to go to each and every school individually, from smaller sized universities that almost no one cares about like the Iowa Hawkeyes, to some of the most beloved, prestigious colleges this nation has ever seen, like the Wisconsin Badgers. No matter who you root for, I think there is something in this game for everyone. Even you, Patrick Mahomes.
So I haven't brought a TV ever before, but NCAA came out and I'm gonna have to turn it on. So I brought a TV for NCAA and the Olympics. So that's my first year of doing that.
Unfortunately, College Football 25 is next-gen console exclusive, so that means no PS4, no Xbox One, no Switch, and surprisingly, no PC. So if you've been waiting for a reason to finally make that jump to next-gen, here's your chance. Moving on down to number 9, I want to talk about Star Wars Outlaws. Speaking of EA, Star Wars Outlaws is notably not being produced by EA. The reason why this is worth mentioning, of course, is because for the last decade, EA had the exclusive rights to Star Wars games. It wasn't until just a few years ago that their contract with Lucasfilm had finally expired, and Ubisoft's Star Wars Outlaws is the first real AAA game we've seen in the last 10 years that hasn't been produced by an EA studio. Massive Entertainment, the devs behind the game, are touting Outlaws as the first ever open-world Star Wars game, claiming that it can take up to 5 minutes of non-stop driving on a speeder bike to cross an entire planet. 5 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, but those speeders can really fly, so that area could actually be quite the geography. Not to mention that there will, hopefully, be points of interest and other things to distract you along the way, not just an empty sand planet that's big for the sake of being big. A game that follows a more or less average bounty hunter and her adventures throughout different planets in the Star Wars universe sounds like something that's right up my alley. I do still have some reservations with this being a Ubisoft original, but damn it, I'm excited for a new Star Wars game. Just let me have this one. Anyway, the game will be releasing in just a few short weeks on August 30th. Now at number 8, I got Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl. This game has been in development hell for years now, and it's completely understandable. The studio is based out of Ukraine, and they've been a bit busy lately. Releasing this fall, Heart of Chernobyl is the first Stalker game in 15 years, and the wait appears to be well worth it. The original was praised for its world building and unique environments, and with Heart of Chernobyl being powered by Unreal Engine 5, it looks like this newest entry will continue that legacy. According to the wiki page here, the series takes place in the infamous Chernobyl exclusion zone, except this time, there are a bunch of mutated animals and plants from the nuclear meltdown. As a result, a bunch of these scientific laboratories have been established within the zone and began experimenting with the mutations and radioactive substances. This eventually led to another disaster, except this time, it basically broke the laws of physics and made the zone even crazier. I've never played any of these Stalker games, but I really love the aesthetic they got going on here, and the gameplay looks really fun. I'm looking forward to giving this one a shot with Game Pass on September 5th. Moving along to number 7, let's talk about Astrobot. Man, it's been a minute since I've seen a PlayStation game that wasn't focused on the back of a person's neck. All jokes aside, I'm genuinely really excited for Astrobot. When the PS5 launched, there was a free game called Astro's Playroom that essentially served as a tech demo for the DualSense controller. Considering it didn't really have that much of a budget or anything crazy behind it, the game was great. It had a ton of charm, referencing iconic PlayStation franchises while also implementing some great 3D platforming. Astrobot looks to take this idea and blow it up into a fully realized game. I honestly miss these types of casual, good vibey video games. I know this isn't really the type of game that PlayStation has been cooking up lately, but I think Astrobot will be a nice breath of fresh air. Apparently there are over 50 different worlds to visit. Not sure how big these worlds are, but it at least sounds like each one will be unique and have its own diverse environments to explore. I'm sure we'll learn more before the game launches for the PS5 on September 6th. Now at number 6, I got The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. This is probably the game I'm most excited for this fall. In return to form for the franchise, this top-down adventure will be the first time we get to play as Zelda herself, and the gameplay looks fantastic. The game is built using the same engine as the Link's Awakening remake, which I honestly don't mind at all, and the Hyrule they've built here looks quite expansive. We've just gotten one trailer so far from the June Nintendo Direct, but it showed off quite a bit. Link is captured or lost or something due to this mystical looking purple rift, and it's up to Zelda to try and save him and Hyrule. Combat is crazy different than what we've seen in the past, with Zelda using this magical wand called the Tri-Rod, which allows her to create these echoes of objects, items, and even enemies that she's interacted with to help her make her way through Hyrule. Echoes of Wisdom looks like a great blend of classic 2D Zelda with the innovative mechanics from Tears of the Kingdom. The sandboxy gameplay they've introduced here is going to offer a ton of variety for people to play through the game however they want. I can't wait for this one. Thankfully, I just have to hold off for a little bit longer as The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom releases September 26th. Moving along to number 5, let's take a look at the Silent Hill 2 remake. I've never played the Silent Hill games, but I gotta admit, all the talk around this remake has got me interested. Originally releasing in 2001, the OG Silent Hill 2 is widely regarded as one of the greatest video games ever made. So with it being 20 plus years since its original release, we were due for a remake sooner or later. The original game was mostly focused on the atmosphere and story, but with the success of similar games like the Resident Evil remakes and Alan Wake 2, don't be shocked if there are a few changes here and there to modernize the gameplay. That also appears to be the biggest controversy about this game. While a ton of people are excited for the remake, there are skeptics out there nervous about how this new iteration will change the use of combat. Apparently, the original was heavily focused on the psychological horror aspect of it, with combat purposefully being clunky and frustrating to encourage players to use it only as a last-ditch effort. This remake appears to have made the combat a lot better, which, as ridiculous as it sounds to say, isn't jiving well with some old-school fans. Like I said, I don't have much stock in this franchise, but I'm hoping this game does well because the studio behind it, Bloober Team, is also working with Nintendo with their mysterious horror game that they just announced. I guess we'll find out when Silent Hill 2 releases just in time for Halloween on October 8th. Now at number 4, let's do a complete 180 with Super Mario Party Jamboree. Set to release on October 17th, Jamboree is being touted as the biggest Mario Party ever. The game is said to have over 110 mini-games, 7 boards to play, some new, some old, and a brand new game mode called Koopathon, which is basically a 20-player online battle royale. Honestly, this looks pretty great. The Mario Party games aren't really something you grind for a few weeks at a time, just instead a great couch co-op game, and with the variety of mini-games they showed off, as well as the dozens of characters to choose from, this looks like everything I wanted to see out of a new entry. I mean, it's Mario Party, man. You pick it up and play when you have guests over. I don't have much else to say other than it will make you despise even your closest friends. Looking forward to it. Down to number 3, let's talk about Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Black Ops 6? God, I feel old. I know I really shouldn't, but I'm excited for this. Like every year, this year's COD is going to be miserable, and I'm gonna love every second of it. The Call of Duty franchise is like a toxic relationship. It clearly has its faults, yet I'm always running back to it. In my defense though, I didn't buy MW3, so I'm ready for a new Call of Duty. Honestly, what else is there to say? This is the 21st installment in the Call of Duty franchise and the 7th in the Black Ops series. This time, it looks like it's taking place in the early 90s, focusing heavily on the espionage aspect of the franchise. I never really expect much from a COD campaign, but if this is a solid 10 to 12 hours of over-the-top spy thriller action, I would be more than satisfied. Of course, multiplayer will be making its return with revamped movement mechanics and ragdoll physics, which should help to lift the skill ceiling while still being accessible to us classic fans. Of course, Warzone will be in there somewhere as well, but we haven't heard much about it yet. Oh, and thankfully, round-based zombies is making a return. Call of Duty Zombies, specifically Black Ops 1, is by far one of the most played games that I have. I used to dedicate entire weekends to zombies, and I'm really hoping that this new entry is able to reignite my love for the game mode. We're only a few months out now, with the game releasing on October 25th for the Xbox Series and PS5, as well as the last gen, somehow, the PS4 and Xbox One. Oh, and it's Microsoft's first Call of Duty launching day one with Game Pass. At number 2, I got Assassin's Creed Shadows. Not gonna lie, this game feels like the break glass in case of emergency title for the AC franchise. People have been begging for an Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan, and after the last few games have been received with middling responses, Shadows feels like a response to win back some good favor. You can play as a smaller, stealthier Japanese shinobi, or approach the game with a louder, more direct approach with the samurai Yasuke. This dude is basically built like an F-150 and I'm pretty sure could run through a brick wall. Fun fact though, Yasuke is the first real historical person that we get to play as. Kinda cool for the history fans out there. To be honest though, I don't really know how I feel about this game. If this would have released like 10 years ago, then yeah, I would be creaming my pants to get my hands on this. Instead, Ubisoft put this off for years and years until someone finally made an Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan. Sucker Punch. Ghost of Tsushima is basically a really good Assassin's Creed game that isn't made by Ubisoft. Maybe Shadows will have its own tricks up its sleeves with the dual protagonist aspect, but I'm just not completely sure it will surpass Ghost, let alone match its quality. It just feels like the game is coming out a bit too late, you know? It's fulfilling a want that's no longer there, at least for me. Maybe I'm wrong and this will end up being one of the best games in the franchise, who knows? It does look worth checking out at the very least. I suppose we'll find out for certain when Assassin's Creed Shadows releases on November 15th. Now finally, at number 1, I have Unannounced. Huh? Believe it or not, but there are a few pretty big titles floating out there that still don't have an official release date, despite the fact that we're rapidly approaching 2025. Yep, these games are still slated for 2024 and don't yet have a release date. Hello? Do you guys know that we're almost to August already? The big ones that I thought were noteworthy are Avowed, Dragon Age The Veilguard, LEGO Horizon Adventures, and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I mean, damn, these are some pretty big names to not have an official release date yet. It makes me just a tad bit nervous about their development. Hopefully everything is going smoothly behind the scenes and the devs aren't forced into some sort of major crunch. I guess we'll find out sooner rather than later. Probably. But I want to know what you guys think. What games are you most looking forward to this fall? What games that are still TBA do you think will get delayed into 2025? What games have I missed? I didn't even really talk about some other big titles like Black Myth Wukong or Mario and Luigi Brothership. I would love to hear what other games you guys are keeping an eye out for. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. It means a lot. I appreciate you guys as always, and I will catch you in the next one.